Hello and welcome to the 22nd installment of Aaron Walker Art Talk. I am, of course, Aaron Walker, and today I'm again joined by Jerome Ramagosa. Jerome, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Doing real good.
Awesome. Today you have picked Mad Max. Why don't you go ahead and explain why?
So, despite never actually seeing the movie Mad Max, I was really drawn to this painting because of one, the background with the sort of diagonal lines in these bars, as well as the main image of the person sort of in what looks like cross between a gas mask and a spacesuit. It reminded me a lot of the album artwork for Sleep's Dope Smoker.
I love that album.
Yeah, great album. I saw them live the other day, and it also reminded me a bit of Dune, which is one of my favorite sci-fi novels. So I just kind of like this sort of desert, futuristic imagery. And yeah, I like the technique in the background, especially. So,
Well, that's super cool. I think one of the best aspects of Mad Max is the aesthetic sensibility, like in all of the films, but most especially in the last one, in the most recent one, because it's this mix of, well, I mean, okay, so my art in this series has been described by a lady named Hannah Frankman as rugged beauty, right? And I love that, right?
yeah,
So like all of the characters in Mad Max are in this post-apocalyptic society. I think it's supposed to be a nuclear disaster that triggers it, but I'm not sure. It's definitely it's a world of like scarce resources. So everyone's fighting for water and food, and there's no greenery. So, but it's post-industrial. So like they all have the remnants, the clothes of urban people, but they've just deteriorated in this really elegant way that I really like. This, you bring up like the technique involved, and this is actually unique among all of my pictures because the way that I made this was I was printing out images on parchment paper, and my printer ran out of ink. And so it made this really weird staggered background where like it only printed this part and then this part and this part, right? And so I took that image and I drew over it, right? And it was an image of one of the background characters in Mad Max, one of these, I forget what you call them, but they're just like miscellaneous warriors from a certain tribe. And so I drew over it in ink, and then went back over everything in the typical way that I do, dark to light, and then Pintel white out.
yeah, no, it's a very interesting technique. I was unaware that that's how you did most of your work, and it's cool how little like happy accidents sort of can define what ends up being a key piece of a work that you put out.
Absolutely. I mean, happy acts. I mean, yeah. What? Like, who says that? Is Bob Ross, right?
Bob Ross, yeah.
Exactly. Major influence on me, Bob Ross. You can see it in my work. A lot of Bob Ross influence. But Jerome, did you have any other questions about this piece?
Um, so I guess why did you choose to draw this particular background character?
Right. Well, I really liked. So I had the reference picture for this, which ultimately was like the underdrawing as well. Again, the aesthetic sensibilities are really cool. I loved, like, we have these HDR pictures and they capture all of these different lines, all these different textures in the costume of this character, right? And so some of this is metal, some of it's cloth, but like the lines that I'm drawing are almost already there in the reference picture because it's HDR, right? It's this photograph that texturizes things for you. And so I don't know, I thought it was really interesting and something I wanted to see how I could replicate on paper.
Paper, right. Huh. Sorry, I'm just peering into it. and noticing all the different.
It's appearing back into you.
Yes, definitely. Shoot, I don't know what else to say about this one right now. Do you have like? Because I feel like getting more background from you, or like if you have anything else to say about that, that might spark some more ideas. I was, I guess, speculating before seeing it. Or sorry, not before seeing it, before talking to you about it, that it did have like this post-apocalyptic element, and that it maybe was saying something about the like instability of our future, or like the threat of nuclear war or environmental disaster.
I'm certainly not saying this with this piece. That is one of the purposes of Mad Max, is the scarcity of resources and the politics of resources and who gets to control things and what sort of empowers implied from that. But that wasn't conscious in this piece. Right. One thing that I do think is conscious is like the background. I have these diagonal lines that go this way and then this way and then this way, which I think is a common element in tribal artwork of different indigenous peoples around the world. And certainly plays into the tribal aspect of Mad Max. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. The background with the diagonal lines was one of the elements that drew me to this piece in particular. So I didn't, I guess, consciously think of it as like a tribal thing, but now that you say that, I think that's sort of why I like the juxtaposition of that with this figure. Cool.
For sure. Well, Jerome, if that's about it. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. I'll see you in the next episode, all right?
See you in the next episode.